What's going on, everybody? Victor here with another brand new video on UFC 277, which is going to be taking place in Dallas, Texas this Saturday night. And man, oh man, it's going to be a great card. The main card is absolutely stacked. And then there's one fight in there that I consider the people's main event, which is going to blow the roof off the whole entire arena. That fight is Sergey Pavlovich, 15-1, 12 KOs in his career, versus Derrick Lewis, 26-9-1-0 contest with 21 KOs. 33 KOs all together between these two heavyweights. That means that this fight is absolutely not going the full distance. It's not going the full 15 minutes. These guys are absolute physical specimens in the UFC heavyweight division, even though their bodies really don't look like it. But at the end of the day, Sergey Pavlovich, he's ranked number 11. Derrick Lewis is ranked number 5. Why? That is one word that I have to say when it comes to Derrick Lewis. Why are you taking another risk against another individual that's ranked outside of the top 10? You already took that risk against Tai Tuivasa during your last fight, UFC 271, in front of your hometown crowd, in front of your children, in front of your wife, in front of your whole entire family, and you ended up getting knocked out against an individual that wasn't even in the top 10. That was one of the worst knockouts that I've seen Derrick Lewis receive in his career so far. And it was against an individual, like I said, who was ranked outside of the top 10, took a huge risk, and ended up failing in front of his whole entire home crowd of Houston, Texas. But if there's one thing we all know about Derrick Lewis, is that he doesn't really perform at 100% when he's fighting at home, which is why I'm afraid for Derrick Lewis in this matchup. If you guys don't know who Sergey Pavlovich is, I do not blame any of you guys just because he has not been active. A little bit of information on him. He made his UFC debut in 2018 against Alistair Overeem. He ended up receiving a knockout loss in the first round. Now, that has been the only loss, the only blemish on his record up to date. And that's a quality loss because back in 2018, Alistair Overeem was an absolute beast. And he was considered one of the best heavyweights in the whole entire world, one of the best heavyweights in the promotion. So there's no knock on that. But ever since then, he's won 3 straight. He knocked out Marcelo Golm, knocked out Maurice Green, and knocked out Abdul Nurmagomedov. Now, those are 3 straight knockouts, 3 straight KOs, and those 3 fights all ended in the first round. So Sergey Pavlovich is an individual, and he's from Russia, just letting you guys know. He's an individual that likes to speak with his hands. He's got some amazing boxing skills. What he loves to do is he likes to pour the pressure on his opponent. He likes to get him as close to the cage of the octagon as possible, and he likes to set him up for the overhand right. If he doesn't succeed with overhand right, he's going to basically blitz you with a combination of punches until he cracks you with the overhand right. And once he wobbles you, he goes in for the kill no matter what. That's something that I really like about this fighter because not only is he still young in his career, but he still has a lot to give. And even though he did have a layoff after fighting Maurice Green in 2018 and coming back in 2022 earlier this year, during that Aspinall versus Volkov card, the first trip that the UFC made to London this year. Like I said, he still has a lot to give. And if he can be able to beat Derrick Lewis, which is no easy task at all, he can be able to catapult himself in the top 6 or top 7 of the division, just because Derrick Lewis is ranked number 5. And if he can pull off the win, there's going to be huge shockwaves in the heavyweight division. Derrick Lewis, he's 2-2 in his last 4 fights. He ended up knocking out Curtis Blades. He knocked out Chris Daukaus. He ended up getting knocked out against Cyril Gane. Ended up getting knocked out against Tai Tuivasa. He's 2-2. He's fought for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world before in the past against Daniel Cormier. When Daniel Cormier was a champion, he fought for the interim title against Cyril Gane. Did not go his way. That fight also went down in Houston, Texas, where he had a sloppy performance. History has shown when Derrick Lewis fights in his home state of Texas that he does not do so well, which is why I'm extremely worried for Derrick Lewis. But when you look back into his fight against Tai Tuivasa, he was starching Tai Tuivasa left, right, up, down. Doesn't matter. He could have finished that fight several times in that first round, but something happened between the first round and the second round. During that break, during that pause in action for that 1 minute that he had, the switch got turned off. And you could obviously see it during that second round against Tai Tuivasa. He wasn't the same. He was pulling his punches a little bit, and as a result, he paid the price and got knocked out in front of a Houston crowd, in front of his home crowd. And I don't think he's going to be the same because he's been knocked out in the past plenty of times. He got knocked out against Mark Hunt. He got knocked out against Junior Santos. Got knocked out against Cyril Gane. Got knocked out against Tai Tuivasa. Those are several knockouts against opponents that he could have beaten in the past. But like I said, these are guys that are at the absolute top of the UFC heavyweight division. But like I said, he's going to be fighting in Dallas, Texas. This isn't his hometown of Houston. This isn't in Austin, Texas, where he fought in the past against Marcin Tybura. But I don't think he's going to be at 100%. I don't think he's going to be able to thrive under the lights because he always has a lot of added pressure when he's fighting in Texas because he's such a huge crowd favorite. Everybody loves him in Texas. The crowd goes crazy for him, and I don't think he can take the pressure of fighting in his home state, which is why in the past he hasn't had the best performances, and that's why I think Sergey Pavlovich is going to take advantage of this. But even though both of these individuals have a huge amount of power, if there's one thing about Sergey Pavlovich is that he's going to be undersized coming into this matchup. Derrick Lewis is obviously going to be the bigger man. If we all know Derrick Lewis, he always has to cut down a good amount of weight because he's, like I said, he's a big man. He always has to cut down to 165 pounds, so it's not always easy. Not every heavyweight cuts down to 165 pounds, just like Derrick Lewis, but he's definitely going to have a lot of added on weight. So if I'm Derrick Lewis, you're going to want to keep the footwork no matter what. Definitely want to blast the kicks because Derrick Lewis is known to blast head kicks, body kicks, you name it. And if there's one thing I really want to see him do, is that I want to see him stunt the movement of Sergey Pavlovich by blasting him with calf kicks. I haven't seen Derrick Lewis be able to blast calf kicks in the past, but if there's one fight that he should be able to do it, it should be in this fight. And if he's being pressured, make sure you circle off and get away from the fence of the octagon as fast as possible because that's where Sergey Pavlovich likes to do the majority of his work. You want to keep this fight in the middle of the octagon. The only reason why I'm saying this is because Derrick Lewis is not one of the best wrestlers that you've ever seen. Obviously, when he's been taken down in the past, he has defended multiple submissions perfectly in the past. So his submission defense is on point, believe it or not, but his wrestling is not. He's been taken down plenty of times in the past, and if I'm Sergey Pavlovich, that's something that I can definitely be able to exploit at the same time. Derrick Lewis is definitely going to be looking for the overhand right because that's basically Sergey Pavlovich's number one game. That's the moneymaker that he uses to finish these fights. If I'm for Sergey Pavlovich, I'm using that as fear. I'm using that to instill fear in Derrick Lewis, making him think that I'm going to come forward, I'm going to pressure him, I'm going to set him up with the overhand right, and as he's thinking that, I'm going to go and blast him with a double leg takedown. If he's against the cage, I'm going to transition to a single leg. I'm going to elevate the leg that I already have and already trip up the other leg that's still on the ground and be able to get him down and stop the elbows and ground and pound. And I believe that Sergey Pavlovich, with the power that he has, can be able to finish this fight via TKO stoppage, via ground and pound if he wanted to. But we haven't seen that much wrestling from Sergey Pavlovich in the past, so we don't know if he's going to be able to utilize it in this fight. And if there's one thing about Derrick Lewis that you all know is that he does not like to utilize wrestling at all. He likes to defend against the takedown attempts. So with these two individuals, I believe this is going to be a boxing or kickboxing match, however you like it, on the feet for the majority of the time until this fight is going to end. If you ask me who's going to win this fight, I'm going to go with Sergey Pavlovich. I believe he's going to pour on a huge amount of pressure on Derrick Lewis. That's already added on top of his shoulders because he's fighting in his home state of Texas, in Dallas, where he's going to have a lot of fans. I don't know if his family is going to be in attendance, but I definitely know that a lot of his fans are going to be in attendance. A lot of his friends are probably going to be in attendance. So there's already that added amount of pressure. Add that on top with the forward pressure of Sergey Pavlovich. I believe he's going to get it done in the first round just because of history, and history has told us that Derrick Lewis does not perform at his best. He usually performs at his worst when he's fighting in his home state of Texas. So I got Sergey Pavlovich making a huge statement, a huge knockout win against Derrick Lewis in the first round. And I want to say it's going to happen in the first 2 minutes of the first round because he likes the pressure. But like I said, if I'm Derrick Lewis, I'm the heavier individual. I'm going to put my weight on him as much as possible, get him against the fence, smother him, and dirty box him as much as possible as another alternative to be able to win this fight. But Even so, I believe Sergey Pavlovich is going to win this fight. He's a special fighter from Russia, and he's not well known from the crowd, but he's definitely going to get a lot of name recognition off of taking Derrick Lewis his head off and knockout in spectacular fashion this Saturday at UFC 277 in Dallas, Texas. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Just wanted to keep this a little bit short, and just because I already know what the result is going to be. If you guys think different, comment down in the comment section who's going to win, Sergey Pavlovich or Derrick Lewis. This is basically people's main event because this fight is not going the full 15 minutes. I appreciate you guys. Like always, stay safe, stay blessed. See you later, guys.